claimed he was kidnapped by the CIA has arrived back in Tehran, amid reports that he was paid off by the American intelligence agency. Shahram Amiri's story is complicated by claims from both sides, a sign of how strained relations are between the US and Iran. Well, to discuss this, we're joined via webcam by Arash Aramesh, who's an Iran researcher with the Century Foundation in Washington. Morning to you. So what do we actually know what actually happened to Amiri? Which version of the truth is correct?
Unfortunately, both governments, the Iranian government and the United States, have been very vague about the details of Mr. Amiri's so-called disappearance. The Iranian government has claimed for the past 14 months that Mr. Amiri was abducted by the U.S. intelligence service, the CIA, and the Saudi Mukhabarat, which is the Saudi intelligence service, in the city of Medina. They are saying that he was abducted and drugged and he was taken to the U.S. Now the Iranian government, that's their claim. The Americans say that he defected on his own will and he was here in the U.S. Pursuing a PhD, and he is now back in Iran on his own free will. Both governments are quite hazy when it comes down to providing actual details about about Mr. Amiri's disappearance.
Well, we've just seen pictures there, and it's quite evident from the Iranian side of things how they're spinning the story in terms of propaganda. We've seen him returning, amidst lots of media and greeted by his son and flowers and things. That's very much the line they're taken, that it's almost like a propaganda for them.
Well, the Iranian government is trying to play this to its own domestic audience as a great victory for Iran's intelligence services. Since the June 12 elections, the Iranian government has been on this campaign of proving the abilities and the enormous capabilities, if you will, of Iran's intelligence services to prove to its own people that they are able to track anyone down anywhere in the world, as we saw, for instance, in the case of Abdul Malik Rigi, the terrorist who was sought after by the Iranian security forces. And this is the case of Mr. Amiri. Now they're trying to say that Amiri was eventually, he made connections, he made contact from DC or Arizona with Iranian intelligence services. His videos showed up popped up on YouTube, and now he's back home. The most important thing here is that Iran will never admit that one of its nuclear scientists defected. And now, as you know, they're trying to say that Mr. Amiri turned down a $50 million bribe that was offered to him by the CIA. Today, there was a story in the Washington Post that Mr. Amiri actually received $5 million from the U.S. intelligence service, the CIA. Well, he can no longer make any withdrawals from that account because of U.S. sanction laws against Iran. But they are certainly trying to spin it in a way that A, it was a great victory for Iran's intelligence services, and B, we have this great hero, this great patriot who was abducted, drugged, and dragged into the U.S. And now, after fighting months of torture, psychological torture, he's back in Iran with his family and with his great country.
You've mentioned the two very different versions there, and also touched on the whole possibility of a defection. Surely, if that side of the story was to be true, and we heard reports earlier in the week about an ex-CIA agent sort of basically assuming that Amiri's return to Tehran could be quite problematic for him in terms of his life could be in danger if there is this whole concept of him having defected.
Well, that could certainly be the case. There are a few theories that have been put out there since Mr. Amiri decided to go back home. One of these theories is that Mr. Amiri simply defected. Later on, he had a change of heart, and he decided that he wanted to go back home. And he's a human being. He was here by himself, surrounded by clandestine service officers, and he missed his wife, he missed his child. Whatever his case may be, he decided to go back home. At any rate, it is quite clear that the CIA and the U.S. intelligence forces decided that he no longer served their purpose. It is quite possible that they got the information they deemed valuable, and they let him go. The most important lesson here, I think, and the biggest victory here, at least for the U.S., is that they are trying to tell future defectors that if you defect, if you come to the U.S. and you stay here, you're free to go. The U.S. does not hold you here by force, and you can go back home. And Mr. Amiri's case is an example of that. So it's in a way, it's an encouragement to other Iranian nuclear scientists, to other Iranian officials, that if you defect, the possibility of going home is always there. The U.S. will not hold you down here by force.
OK, well, we've heard all the sort of surrounding evidence. To put you on the spot, what's your view? Did he defect, or do you think he was kidnapped?
I don't think we're going to be able to find that out anytime soon. Neither the U.S. nor the Iranian government are very forthcoming about this. We should wait. I've heard from a few people here in town that there could be a swap deal. There are three American citizens who are now in Iran. Those three hikers, students who were hiking in the Iraqi Kurdistan, and they were picked up by Iran's border agents. So some people claim that they may be released sometime soon. There is the case of Bob Levinson, the former FBI agent who disappeared a few years ago when he was on a private case in the Quiche Island. Whatever the truth may be behind this case, neither the U.S. nor the Iranians are going to be very forthcoming about this. My take on this is that for the time being, the Iranians will spin this as a great victory. And the Americans, if they got any information out of this man, then they got it. And they don't see the need for any great publicity and a media campaign to prove their point. And they never were on this mission anyway. So unfortunately, the details of this case are going to be hazy. The only person talking at this point is Mr. Amiri. He's back. He's given a few interviews. He's received a hero's welcome in Iran. So it's up to other people to come forward and talk about the details of this case.
OK. All right, Arash Aramesh, thanks very much for your insight into that.